Hey everyone, thank you for checking out Pinterest Analytics for Bloggers. It's a little free video training and a PDF that's coming your way as well to help you guys understand Pinterest Analytics a little bit better, especially for your needs as a blogger. We have a lot to go over and I want to kind of keep it as short as possible so you guys can get into it and start working on it yourself. So let's get started. Today we're only going to kind of scratch the surface about Pinterest and how we can use it to optimize our blogs and get more traffic. But if you kind of can relate to any of these things, you don't have maybe a lot of time to spend on social media, maybe you're a side hustler and you can just do this after work, so you don't want to be spending hours and hours on comment pods or commenting on people's Instagrams just to see no return on it and nobody clicking through to your website. Maybe you've tried a lot on social media, maybe you've, read a lot of other blog posts, watched a lot of videos, but you can't seem to find anything that works that's actually converting. If you relate to that, let me know. Just kind of like put some praise hands in the air and I can feel them through the screen. Or maybe you are just like super over the Instagram algorithm. No matter what you do, you kind of go two steps forward and like a million steps back every single time they switch the algorithm on you. I totally feel you. I have given up on Instagram probably way before I should have, but it's such a hard thing to master and it takes way too much time. Or maybe you've heard that Pinterest can really have great results for your blog and you're convinced that Pinterest is the right thing for you, but you still haven't been able to figure out how to master it and you've tried things, but they didn't end up working out. If any or if all of these things sound familiar to you or apply to your life, then you are totally in the right place. And I am so excited to get started and kind of dive into a very tiny part of it and hopefully dive in a lot further with you when I tell you about something at the end of this little online training. If you've ever watched a webinar before, you know that usually they end with a little discount and maybe some sort of sweet deal that they can give their viewers for taking the time to watch the video. So of course mine is going to end with that, but this deal is very specific because it's actually never ever going to happen again. I'm not just saying that to be a marketer, I'm honestly saying this is the only time I'm going to give this like steep discount. I'll explain why this is the only time and what that kind of means at the very end. But yeah, stick with the video and look at it at the very end. You can even fast forward since this is pre-recorded and check out the deal. Okay, now on to who I am and why you should be paying any attention to me at all. I'm Kayla Watkins, and the main reason you should be paying attention to me is because I have been there. About 2 years ago, those things sounded so familiar to me. I was exhausted trying to make my blog grow and trying to be able to raise my rates for sponsored posts or to get affiliate links, selling things and making me money. So I really understand where you're coming from, and I found a solution for myself, and I just want to tell other people about it. I really believe in blogging as a business and believe in it as something that could, really give you the freedom in the future that you're looking for. So I'm just really invested in trying to help all of us do that. I think there's enough room on the internet for every single blogger that wants to be out there and that has a voice that they want to be heard. So the reason I've been there is because I have a lifestyle blog. I started it almost three and a half years ago. It was very much a hobby at first and something that I just wanted to do to have a creative outlook, but then it became something that I really got serious about. And so about 2 years ago, I started really focusing on increasing my traffic and to see how I could sort of raise my rates and make more money from it so that eventually I could go full time and it could be my career. So when I started to get serious about my blog and try to make it something sustainable, I had heard a lot, read a lot, and everyone I came across told me to go on Instagram and make sure that was doing well and to make sure I was growing a massive following there. And I would need like 100,000, but if I got there, then I would be set. So that's what I did. You can't really tell by my very low number there of followers, but I have spent hours trying to perfect my Instagram, making sure my feed was so cohesive, making sure every photo I posted was a professional one, a beautiful one. I was in like 10 comment pods where I would just try to make sure my engagement was up so that hopefully I would reach new people. I made sure I put hashtags on every single post and then I would try to switch my hashtag strategy. It was just so much time and effort, and as you can see, it never really gave me any results. Before I tell you what did give me results, I will say I know Instagram can be a good strategy for some blogs, and if it's working for you, then I would totally stick it out and keep going. To me, it just wasn't, and I've met a lot of other bloggers along the way that have been so frustrated with it and have never seen any results, but they just power through because that's what people are telling them to do. So basically, when I was fed up with Instagram and it wasn't working clearly for me, I turned to Pinterest. So I just kind of seen a little inkling of other people talking about it. And so I read up on it like crazy. And it seemed to be this thing where people just were not utilizing it the way that they should, so that I had the opportunity to kind of get ahead because it was still kind of new to people. So I read all I could. I implemented every strategy I kind of learned along the way and saw crazy results, you guys. Crazy results. Within like 6 months of implementing these things, I saw my best ever day. And you see a screenshot of it right there, 22,000 in a day. That is bonkers. That does not happen for me usually, I'll be honest. But that was like a crazy thing that just learning how to use Pinterest and learning how to use its keywords and create graphics that work for Pinterest and optimizing my website for Pinterest, just using all of these things that I had learned, I was able to get results in only 6 months, and that's something that I had spent years trying to get results on Instagram. I ended up getting 1 million page views, which I was super psyched about. I wrote a whole blog post and I took photos with those gold balloons because when else am I going to do that? And then, now at this point, I'm at 1.5 million views on my website total, which is just craziness to me. That many people have checked out my website, or that many pages on my website have been viewed. And so like that strategy definitely worked, and the stuff that I learned definitely worked. But I think what I actually am, more able to help you guys with is letting you know that I've kept up consistent traffic from Pinterest. I get 1,000 to 1,500 views a day from Pinterest. People are clicking through my website because they're actually seeing my content and they're finding me from Pinterest, and they're becoming subscribers and readers. And it's just a super exciting thing that I really want to help you get and you to be able to take advantage of. You may have noticed that Pinterest released a new profile, and you can kind of check that to see how many monthly viewers I'm getting. So you can see there it has a little 2 million. And so if you want to kind of see what I'm getting versus what other bloggers are getting, definitely check that out, because I think that that's something that will prove to you that despite the 7,000 followers I have on Pinterest, which is still my highest social, but despite that, I'm getting a lot of viewers and traction on the content that I'm posting on Pinterest because it's getting shared. So once I figured it out for myself, I just kind of started chatting about it and almost like just evangelizing about Pinterest to my friends and my fellow bloggers. I had a big community in New York when I lived there, and I would just tell them about these numbers that I was getting, and everyone was pretty amazed that I could create this substantial traffic for my blog. So I ended up taking on Pinterest clients when I went full-time in January. So I've had a few clients every month that I just take 1 month to kind of overhaul their account and set them up for success, and even leave them with some tips on how they can manage their Pinterest from there. I wanted to share some of the comments from 3 of my sweet clients, and just so you guys could kind of see what they said about working with me, so you could further understand, if I'm reliable, and make that decision for yourself. So feel free to pause this if you guys want to read those testimonials. So after I realized I could help other bloggers, I also realized that I do not have enough time to help enough bloggers in 1 month. I can only really do 5 clients a month because I have other projects that are going on, and that's all I can kind of take in 1 month. So I said, okay, I need to help more people. I need to figure out how I can reach more people at one time without having to spread myself too thin or go crazy working like all hours of the day. So that's when I made something pretty cool, if I do say so myself. And that is something that I am obviously teasing now, but I'm going to tell you about at the end. Until then, let's get into Pinterest analytics. If you're wondering why I'm not kind of sending you to another platform to look for analytics or telling you to use some other program that you need to purchase, mainly because I don't like purchasing things, but also because I actually think these in-platform analytics are really cool and they actually can tell you a lot. Though I do think Pinterest gives you a lot of things to look at, and it looks like so much information, and it is. So I want to kind of just dedicate this time to teach you about one tiny portion of these analytics and what this one portion can do for you, because I do think it is the most valuable portion of their analytics platform, and that if you only have limited time, this is the section of those analytics you should be looking at. I will warn you that I do think that you need to spend a little bit of time in the beginning kind of watching how your platform works and how your followers react to the content that you're posting, because once you focus on that and sort of get comfortable with the platform and the analytics themselves, you'll really be able to skyrocket your numbers and to really easily read those statistics to make changes in both the content that you create on your blog and then the different graphics that you create on Pinterest. And that's really how you're going to start seeing awesome results. If you do want to take a deeper dive into Pinterest Analytics and learn more about the other sections that Pinterest covers, that's why I made that little PDF for you. So that has all the lingo Pinterest uses defined for you, and that way you can take that as kind of a reference sheet when you're browsing through your analytics. Okay, so once you click that analytics in the upper left-hand corner of your feed or of your profile, you'll see this overview section. So this kind of tells you all the different things that you can dive into in the Pinterest in-platform analytics. We'll start from the left. Your Pinterest profile section is all about every single thing that you save onto your boards. So every repin and every pin of your own content from your website that you've ever shared, that's in your Pinterest profile. So it's an overview about every single piece of content that you shared, and then also actual clicks and views onto your profile itself. That middle section, people you reach, is really just a demographics breakdown plus how many people come across the content that you create and that you repin. The final section, activity from www.yourwebsite.com, is the one that we're going to really go into and dive deep into. If you do not see that, that means that you have not claimed your website and that you have not enabled rich pins on your website. So that is something you want to do ASAP. That should be the first thing you do before you dive into Pinterest Analytics. I would honestly pause this video, go look up how to do that, and do that first, because that's really where we're going to get all of our information. And if you don't have that connected, there's not really much you can do or learn from this video. So just go get that connected. It's a really simple process. You can look up under Pinterest support and they'll tell you exactly how you should do that. This is the section I really think if you only have a little bit of time, spend all of your time on this activity from whatever your website is. So just click that More button on the top right of that box and we'll get started. Okay, so I want to start with the average daily impressions. That means the average time your pins that are pinned from your website come across someone's feed. I will say that I believe this is only original pins that you pinned directly from your website for the first time. I do not believe this represents the repins that once you put your post out there, maybe they see it from someone else. So I do not think this is accurate for your repins. So just keep that in mind that your pins might be getting seen by more people. You can tell that by looking at your Google Analytics and seeing how much more traffic you're getting from Pinterest than what's in here. But just something to know that is a possibility. So that other number, average daily viewers, is the average number of individuals that come across your content, which is why that number might be lower than the average daily impressions, because one person might come across multiple pieces of your content. I would definitely keep an eye on kind of the spikes, the rises and the falls in your impressions and the viewers, and if it's getting seen, if it's not getting seen, or if you're having a very low period, it might be a keyword adjustment. And then if it is getting seen, you might want to see what pins are performing well and what's really showing up in people's search bars, because that might help you create, more content in that time frame. So I would definitely keep an eye on this and see when it's kind of lowering and rising, and just make sure you have a handle on it. I also always watch that top board that says top pin impressions to see what pins are performing well. Again, this is about search terms and about how easily they are to be found from the Pinterest kind of algorithm. So I definitely check on those and see what's performing well. And then sometimes I do show more and I see, okay, maybe this is performing decently. It's not getting tens of thousands of impressions, but it's getting maybe 1,000 impressions. So how can I raise that to 10,000 impressions? So sometimes your big pins are getting seen as high as they can possibly get seen. So I kind of work on those middle pins and try to raise them up. I also kind of have a few pins that have just gone viral and kind of go on their own, which is obviously the goal for all of us, but I have to often do that show more to kind of just see where my new pins are falling in terms of all of these crazy pins that have been there for years and are still doing well. So definitely if you're just old pins that are just on fire and continually on fire showing up, make sure you're checking on your new pins, because that's really where you can just absolutely triple your traffic if you can keep an eye on those and get them to the level that those old pins are at. The last thing I'll say, and this goes for kind of all the little sections here in activity from kayless5things.com section, I would definitely play with that date range. Definitely look at either a week or a month and then go back and forth and see what the differences are, and see if there's any way that you can continue to bring pins that were doing well this month but not so much this week back up. So just definitely play with those and see what's different between the week and the month. The next subsection we're going to talk about is a save section, and that is the same thing as repins. It's just the word that Pinterest uses. I think it's good to see the average daily saves and average daily people that are saving, that are interacting and repinning your content, definitely great to look at. But I would also look at a difference at what's being seen versus what's being saved. So I would take a look at both your impression section and your save section and see if there are pins that are getting a lot of impressions but are not translating to repin. So maybe they're coming up on the search bar, but people aren't liking the content enough to repin it frequently. So I would see if you could kind of get that to even out, to get more of those things that are being seen, to catch the eye of the viewer, and to be repinned and hopefully clicked, which is the next metric. I think that works the other way around too. So if you get something that's being saved a lot but not being seen, so for example, that first pin, the gorgeous kitchen backsplashes, we didn't see it on the impressions page, but we do see it here on the repins, and it's getting a lot of saves, but it's not getting a lot of viewers. So if we can get it a lot of viewers, it will most likely translate in more saves, which will just make everything rise. Okay, alert, alert, alert. This is the most important section by far. Oh my goodness. I would really, really, really pay attention to what's clicking and what is getting people to go to your website or go to your subscriber list, however you're kind of positioning yourself. You want this to be doing insanely well. So I would watch out who's going from your website, how many are going every day from your website to Pinterest. Again, remember that this number may only reflect the number of pins that you pinned originally, not the clicks that you're getting through other people repinning them. So I usually see over 1,000 referrals from Pinterest in my Google Analytics, but here you see 833 average daily. So definitely pay attention to that and look at your Google Analytics and see if more are being clicked through on repins, and see if there's a discrepancy. It's kind of like up in the air, and I haven't gotten a very clear answer on that, so I just want to put that out there in case you're getting more traffic than you know from Pinterest. And then I think like these spikes are just really important. Knowing when your content is doing well, maybe it's going viral all of a sudden, you want to be on that so that you can really adjust your strategy quickly and pay more attention to the things that are just doing well, and give more content when necessary. So I would just really, really watch those spikes and just ride the wave if possible. So the same thing goes for the most clicked pins from the last 30 days. You can also change that back down to a week and see. And you see that the content's doing well. So how can I, for example, how can I take my bridal shower theme post and how can I make more pins from it using the same keywords to get more views and more clicks and more impressions? So it's just really riding the wave and reusing this content. I mean, you're creating so much content, and usually it's getting viewed once by, one individual. So how can you get it in front of more individuals so that they can connect to it and then hopefully go from just looking at your content once to being a loyal subscriber, to being a reader, to being someone that comes with you on every piece of content that you create. So you really want to make sure to capture that audience, and the only way you can do that is by getting them to your page. So you got to be paying attention to those clicks. Okay, finally, I'm going to point you to two of the things in that header of this activity from Kales5things.com page. There's the original pins, and then there's the save button. So those are where you can kind of see if people are creating pins directly from your website to publish on Pinterest. If you have a strategy for using your website to be in the most optimal shape for your Pinterest. So if you did create that strategy, this is a good way to see if it's working. The save button is just to see if you have a save button on your page to see if it's converting into actual pins. The all-time section, I really just think is useless. So you can definitely take a look at it, and when you're first looking at your analytics, just go through everything slowly. But unless you see something that really catches your eye, I wouldn't worry about it too much. So even though that was only 1/3 of all the stuff that you can get into with Pinterest and platform analytics, I know it's still a lot, so I wanted to kind of narrow it down to what is really the most important for you to be watching. So these are the 5 things that I really think are what you want to be paying attention to, and most importantly, tracking. So these are the things you want to have a spreadsheet of so that you know how things are working and so that you can kind of learn from them in the future and create a good Pinterest strategy that works for you and that gets you those clicks. So the top 5 most important are the daily website clicks, the daily website pin saves, the 10 website pins that are getting the most clicks, the 10 website pins that are getting the most saves. Don't forget that saves is repins. And then the 10 website pins that are getting the most impressions. So these are the things you want to track. For those last 3 bullets, when it's about specific pins, I would track more like notes about what those pins are about. So maybe topics, or if they're graphic pins or just images or photos, what are things that you're seeing in those images that you think are what is getting at that kind of engagement? Because tracking those styles, colors, topics each time is how you can see if there are patterns and how you can see what's working and what's resonating with your audience. So that way you can repeat those things, whether it's the type of graphic pin or the colors of the image or whatever it is, you can repeat those in the future to get more results for your different pieces of content. Just by tracking those 5 things in that one section of your Pinterest analytics, you can see if people are finding your pins, if people are resonating with your pins, what kind of content your followers are into and maybe want to see more of, and then what kind of your content doesn't resonate with your followers and is just totally flopping. And then you can also tell if your keyword strategy is working. So if you have a specific keyword strategy, which I highly recommend, you can tell if that's actually being found and that's working with Pinterest algorithm, or if you need to adjust. I would recommend you track your stats weekly on a spreadsheet. Maybe this isn't a deep dive, but just get down all the numbers and the sort of notes about those pins, and then you can revisit it monthly and quarterly to really take a deep dive and what the patterns are and to look closer at all of your stats and see what it's really telling you. I really, really hope you guys like that and that it helped you and it taught you and it's going to give you something for your Pinterest strategy going forward. But now on to that really cool thing that I've been teasing that I created so that I could help more people get their Pinterest in order and really affect their blog and their blog traffic. So I created an online course. This course is called Pinterest for Bloggers, and I poured my heart and soul into it. I so promise you that I did this. I created something that you could purchase for lifetime access that's made specifically for bloggers by someone that's been there, by someone that has tried a bunch of things that haven't worked and finally found what worked. So I really go through everything I learned in depth for you so that you have just the tools that you need to make it work for you. And I really believe this is guaranteed to make it work for people. I mean, I've used it like multiple times on other people's content, not just my own, and it's worked every single time. So some of the things that we go over are optimizing your Pinterest profile, creating a board strategy, how they're lined up matters, how they look matter, how their name matter. It's just a lot of different things that you can do. Just make sure that strategy is set. Also, just pinning with a purpose, making sure the right images go with your brand, that work on Pinterest, that are the right size, the right color, everything that's going to perform well. Also, mastering Pinterest keywords. So we touched on that a little bit, but really that's how your pins get seen. So if you don't know how to find the right Pinterest keywords, we'll go over all of that for you. Other modules are going to cover making Pinterest graphics that are going to perform well, joining Pinterest group boards, how to do it, why to do it, and how it works. Also passive income pinning. You can make money from Pinterest, so why not? So this is going to go into how you can make money from Pinterest, Pinterest sales funnels, all of that. There are a total of 19 modules, and there are countless worksheets and spreadsheets and things that you can use. I really, really, really promise you I laid it all out there for you, and so there's so much in this course, and I really encourage you to take a look at it. If the course wasn't enough, I added a free Facebook group. This is somewhere where I'm going to be, so you can go through this on your own. But if you have questions, you have someone that you can contact and that will answer you, and you have an expert sort of at your beck and call. I have an Ask Me Anything thread every week where you just post your question. I answer every single question within that hour. So I will get your questions answered, and you have lifetime access to that Facebook group as well. So that's there for you throughout the whole time you're working on your Pinterest strategy. With this online course with 19 modules, the free Facebook group, the ability to ask me anything and get an expert opinion, and lifetime access to all of this, this is worth $500 at the very least. I would honestly say well over. So it's worth a lot. But since you guys stuck through my webinar, you're obviously going to get a deal. I am letting you guys snag it for a very limited time for $97. It's worth over $500 and you're getting it for $97. Honestly, just saying that makes me think that I'm nuts, but let's do it. So you have until May 16th to get this sweet deal, and it is seriously going away after that. If you're wondering what the catch is and if it's just too good to be true, I'm going to tell you the truth behind this deal. In all honesty, this is my first course, and I do think it is worth every single penny. I think it's worth way more than $97, but I wanted to kind of give some bloggers a chance to run through it for the first time and to give me feedback. I want to hear from real bloggers how it worked, what they needed help with, see what their pain points are still when they're taking the course so that I can make sure this course is perfect for everyone that comes after them. So this is kind of like just almost a beta test for real bloggers to use to really get max out of it. And then for me to even make it even better and perfect it, which the people that sign up for it today or before the 16th will have lifetime access to. So they'll always reap the benefits, but they're really going to be those beta testers for this course and for my first online course. I hope you enjoyed this webinar, you guys. I hope it was helpful, and I really, really, really would love to see you inside Pinterest for Bloggers. If you have questions, just shoot me an email at pinterestforbloggers@gmail.com. If you don't know if it's the right course for you, I'd love to talk you through it and to see what kind of blog you have and whether it's going to be a good fit or not. So definitely shoot me an email if you need help, and thank you again for watching, you guys. Have a great one.